There are some things that drive me just a little crazy, like this hinge. When this house was redone, a lot of the original doors were kept. But instead of changing out these hinges, they just left these old hinges on here that had been painted over multiple times. They just look like crap. Here's the way the hinge looks on the inside. It's just awful, I hate it. Look how much better it is just to put a new hinge on there. And it's not that hard. You have to take a little more care because it's an older home. But I'm going to show you how to do this. It's an easy fix and it makes a big difference. So obviously one of the first things you have to do is to be able to get this hinge off the door. To do that, you'll want to take a razor and go around the outside of the hinge, breaking the steel between the paint that's been painted over the hinge and the door. If you don't do that, then when you pull this hinge off, you'll chip off all this paint on the outside and it'll be more touch-up work to do afterwards. So you do that all around, slow and carefully, because if you do it too hard and too fast, you're going to slide right down and scratch your door. So do it carefully, do it slowly, just take your time, and that'll come out nice and neatly. The second thing you have to do is to clean all these screws out. Now you can see that I've started on these. You have to clean around the outside and then clean on the inside to make sure that your screwdriver will get in there and get a grip. Otherwise, again, because these are all painted in there, if you don't clean these out well, then what will happen is you'll strip the screws trying to get them out, and then you've got a problem. So we're going to come around and we're going to clean all of our screws to make sure we can get our screwdriver in there and get these out without too much problem. So we've cleaned all of our screws off. Now we can carefully try to remove them, and they should come out okay for you. And here's what I was afraid we would find. This is actually not a hinge screw, but a wood screw. Here's what a hinge screw looks like. It's only about that long compared to the wood screw. So what's happened is they've stripped that out inside here. See how that the hinge screw just goes in and out? And so what they did was they used a much longer screw so they could get to the 2x4 behind the trim here to hold the hinge in place. Now, what we don't want to do is to continue to perpetuate that. We want to put the screw in there that matches the hinge. So I'll show you how we'll take care of those holes. And the second thing is I'm going to replace this. I want to be able to close my door while some of this is drying now. So what I'll do is remove 4 screws, leave 2 in the middle. I'll dress up these 3 holes, and then we'll come back and finish up this hinge. It's going to take a while for the glue to dry. Taking out the screws in the door, I've noticed that these holes are not stripped out, and these are the correct size screws. So we won't have to mess with those. But these we're going to have to fill in. There's a couple of ways to do that. One is if you happen to have some golf tees, that's a great way to do it. Just put a golf tee in there, hammer it in there, glue it before you hammer it in there, then let it dry, and after it's dried you can come back and drill it out again. In my case, I don't happen to have any golf tees with me, so all I'm going to do is take some screwdrivers. Take some toothpicks, I've got about 6 toothpicks here. I'm putting glue on them. I will insert them into this hole. Drive them in there nice and tight. After I've got them in there where I want them, then I can just break them off right at the hinge there. When I take this hinge off, we'll just come back with a wood chisel and chisel that nice and smooth. But that's how we'll take care of these other holes. So I'll do this other one, this a hole right here, and then we'll come back and show you where we're at after the glue is dry. We've let our wood dry, and now we're just going to come in with a wood chisel and just clean off that extra bit of toothpick that's there. Doesn't take much. Just go carefully. You just want to get it nice and flat. That'll be great. I've loosely positioned the new hinge, and we're just going to drill a couple of small pilot holes. Try to stay in the center. Now you'll see when I put that screw in there, it's going to hold nice and tight. So the toothpicks did their job. We'll put the rest of these screws in here and I'll show you the finished product. And there you go. The new hinge is in. Certainly looks a lot neater inside. And it looks a lot nicer outside. I'll show you some before and after pictures. You know, to me, little things like making sure your projects are trimmed out and the hardware looks nice just make a huge difference. I hope you liked the video. If you did, don't forget, press that like button. Please subscribe. Do I look like I have antennas?